It's a new week, and we are spending it at Maumelle Park just outside of Little Rock, Arkansas. Maumelle Park is a campground managed by the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, and it sits on the banks of the Arkansas River. It is about a 20-minute drive from here to downtown Little Rock, but you wouldn't know you were so close to the city when you're in this campground. It was fairly quiet the week we were there, and the scenery was gorgeous. It was just a short walk from our site to a great view of the river. It is also just a 5-minute drive to Pinnacle Mountain State Park. Overall, it was a very nice campground. Our first night in town, we headed to Little Rock's Riverfront. We parked outside of the William J. Clinton Presidential Library, which was unfortunately closed by the time we got there. We did enjoy the sights while we were here, though. We walked over the Clinton Presidential Park Bridge, which is a former railroad bridge originally constructed in 1899. It is now a pedestrian bridge and is part of the Arkansas River Trail, a 17-mile-long rail trail that runs on both sides of the river. This bridge was pretty cool, and it had excellent views of both the Arkansas River and the Little Rock skyline. After checking out the pedestrian bridge, we walked back down to the William E. Clark Presidential Park Wetlands. This was a neat little boardwalk trail that took you through a small wetlands sanctuary. It was pretty dark by the time we hit this short trail, but we still had a good time. For dinner, we decided to stop at Lost 40 Brewing Company. This brewery produces beer that is only sold in Arkansas, so I knew I had to give it a try before I left the state. We sat outside and ordered their Arkansas cheese dip for an appetizer, as well as a flight of beers. This Arkansas-style yellow cheese dip was pretty dang good. I also settled on the Love Honey Bach, and had a few more of those while we ate some meatball pizza that was very delicious. Lost 40 was an excellent stop for food and beer. The next day we checked out the art at the Arkansas Museum of Fine Arts. It was a really cool building on the outside, and they had some really neat artwork on display there. After work the next day, we stopped by Pinnacle Mountain State Park and checked out the visitor center. We got some information for hiking to the summit, which we plan to do the next day. While we were there, we walked around the Kingfisher Trail, which was a nice paved trail that went around a creek and was complete with some bald cypress trees. It was a very pretty and interesting trail. On Friday afternoon, we set out to do our toughest hike yet. We hiked the West Summit Trail of Pinnacle Mountain. This is a 1.5-mile trail that takes you up 734 feet of elevation to the top of the mountain and back. The trail is mostly stone and hard-packed dirt, but there are some boulder fields that you have to scramble over. There is also an East Summit Trail that is harder and has a lot more rock scrambling. We chose the easy route, but it was by no means easy. On the way up the mountain, we stopped to enjoy the view of Lake Maumelle. It was a tough hike, but luckily there are a few benches along the way where you can stop and catch your breath. Halfway up Pinnacle Mountain, I haven't died yet. Keisha's making me do it. At about the 0.8 mile marker, there is a large boulder field that you have to scramble with your hands and feet. This was where I had to quit, but Keisha was a trooper and hiked her way up to the summit, where she caught some amazing views at the top. After checking out the sunset at the summit, Keisha made her way back down to me, and we completed the hike back down to the bottom. By the time we got to the bottom, it was pitch black out. Nighttime sure does sneak up on us fast this time of year. We were both exhausted, but glad we accomplished this hike, as it had been on our hiking bucket list for a while. We spent Saturday in downtown Little Rock. We visited the Arkansas State Capitol, which is a beautiful Capitol building made with Arkansas limestone on the exterior and a gorgeous white marble interior. It is also adorned with 10-foot-high bronze doors in the entrance. There was a conference going on in the rotunda, but we were able to walk around the rest of the building and check out the governor's reception room, the Supreme Court, and exhibits that they had on display. After touring the inside, we went outside and checked out some of the memorials they had, including a Confederate Soldiers Monument, a Medal of Honor Recipients Memorial, and a Little Rock 9 Civil Rights Memorial titled Testament. After visiting the Capitol, we stopped by the Little Rock Central High School National Historic Site. This historic site tells the story of the Little Rock 9 and what they endured while being the first Black children to integrate the schools in Little Rock. There is an excellent museum that details what led up to the crisis, as well as what went on during the integration. It was really eye-opening seeing what these young men and women had to endure just to go to the same school as white children. After checking out the museum, we walked over to the Central High School, first stopping at this Magnolia Mobile station, which is part of the historical park as well. Little Rock's Central High School is still a functioning high school, so you cannot go in the building, but you can check it out from the outside. It has a beautiful look that has been kept largely the same since the days of the Little Rock 9. This free historical site was a very interesting and educational stop. For lunch, we stopped by the Root Cafe, which has been featured on the show Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives. If you haven't figured out by now, we love that show. The Root Cafe has a nice outdoor patio to sit in, and we enjoyed a pimento cheeseburger with fries, as well as a donut muffin to go. After lunch, it was a short walk to Loblolly ice cream, which we tried a flight of 6 different flavors. It was pretty good. On Sunday, we drove to Two Rivers Park, which was also part of the Arkansas River Trail. Here we crossed the pedestrian bridge and saw some neat wildlife. Afterwards, we headed back to the camper to pack up and travel to our next destination. Or so we thought. We hit the road that afternoon, but didn't make it too far. We ended up having a blowout and needed to replace the tire next to it as well. We booked another night at Maumelle Park and stopped at a very helpful discount tire the next morning to get our new tires and finally be on our way to the next stop. Overall, we enjoyed our time in Little Rock. Maumelle Park was a beautiful, quiet park that kept us close to nature but wasn't far at all from the rest of the city. We enjoyed the food, history, and scenery in the Little Rock area. It is a cool little city with a lot to offer. Hope you enjoyed!